Joe Biden just blew it. The US President today gave his big annual State of the Union speech. It's his big speech of the year, meant to set out his priorities and rally the troops. And this one was particularly big because it's the first State of the Union since the election, when the Republicans won back control of the House, which made Biden a lame duck unless he gets their cooperation to get things through. Now, Biden knew this and started well, shaking the hand of the new Republican leader in the House and appealing for cooperation.
You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. If we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well.
But Biden then ruined this kumbaya moment by getting into an argument with Republicans who then heckled and booed him for misrepresenting them.
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote.
Joining me is Sky News US correspondent Annalise Nielsen. Annalise, thank you for your time. I mean, so much for cooperation. I've never seen that much heckling at a State of the Union. What went wrong there?
Well, look, this has become more of an advantageous thing for congressmen and women who want to make their mark. They can yell out something, maybe get on the reverse camera. This is a primetime event and it's gotten to be more of a spectacle over the years. It was only a few years ago Nancy Pelosi was tearing up Trump's State of the Union speech. So it's not unheard of, but it was notable here, just the pushback in the room. And I think this has become the problem for the Biden administration. 2 years in, they're not reading the room. And this is evident today when the president was making those jibes at Republicans. This is a divided room, the House of Representatives. They have a very slim margin for the Republicans, and so they're more vocal. And that's been part of Kevin McCarthy's push as Speaker. We saw him have to go through all those rounds on the floor to get that position, and it all spilled out into public. So President Biden should have seen that. The other room they need to read is the press. We've seen that they're being more critical of the Biden administration, especially around the handling of these classified documents. The fact that they knew he had classified documents, it reported them in November, and then it only came out just last month. That's lost them a lot of support from the press, which had a lot of goodwill. So I think we're seeing that all play out here. There's not the same kind of intention to say, we want to see the best for America, so we're going to give you a fair go, and we're going to say whatever it takes to get it done. And for Republicans, they're going into these negotiations around the debt ceiling, and I think this was the strongest indicator yet. Joe Biden's not going to get his way just because that's how he wants it.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? In one sense, he made an appeal to the Republicans. You know, it sounded to me like he'd stolen some of Donald Trump's speeches. American first, build up pride, buy American, only American stuff used in federal construction work, infrastructure work, et cetera, But his approval rating right now is just 44% in the Rasmussen poll. There's big doubts he could run for a second term. Do you think this speech has done anything for him at all?
No, and especially coming on 80, he needs to look like he's in charge of the room. But that America First stuff, that's a good point. And a lot of that's to counter what's going to be the criticism of his handling of this spy balloon from China. China is the one thing everyone on Capitol Hill can agree on. They want to push back on it. And this is important in trade and security. So when you have that kind of I wouldn't say loss, but I mean, there was that hesitation in taking the balloon down. It looked terrible. And so there was that one kind of reference in the speech where he said, I'll protect American sovereignty, and then moved on from it. This is going to be a huge talking point for Republicans going forward. So then where else do you go? You go to the trade space. And that does have widespread support among Republicans and Democrats to say, let's be protectionist, America first, let's get what we're owed. And that plays very well in what's going to be some very important states, all those Midwest states, especially with manufacturing. They want to make sure that America gets what America deserves, and that worked for Donald Trump, and so it's going to work for Biden, he's hoping.
Well, who would have thought the Democrat Trump? Annalise Nielsen, thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it.